think when it comes to video, the really exciting area is branded content. So, and specifically, I think social branded content. So social branded video, which I think, it's in those three words. There's a lot of clues about what's important. The first would be social, because video is being consumed on mobile, and the primary vehicle for growth on mobile is social. So that's where how people are discovering things. And then the second word would be branded, and the notion of so when we think about branded content, what are the core components of the brand message that absolutely have to be in the content, and what are the core components that are going to drive the ROI, whatever it is, wherever you are in the funnel. And really, just focusing on those minimal criteria, and then saying, is that enough, and can that live in a real content ecosystem, or can it live within content consumed as content? And then that's the third word, which is content, and it's starting to, I think brands are starting to think about, well, maybe they have opportunities to participate in content conversations that are more honest, more in-depth, more socially relevant than the advertising that we've been used to for the last 30 years or so. In terms of influencers, and I assume you sort of are talking about what is the value when you're thinking about branded content, making a video and things like that. What is the value of bringing in a celebrity or bringing in somebody that has a lot of followers and things like that? I tend to think that overall it's overweighted. It's overweighted for a number of different reasons. The first is that subscribers and followers generally don't have really massive push power, or not as much push power as you would think. And then the second thing is that a lot of times just getting a celebrity or an influencer to participate in a campaign, I think, pushes down the road the real challenge, which is, as an organization, trying to understand what the role of content is in their organization, what the role of content is in branded content, for that brand. And I think the biggest thing is that it pushes some of the responsibility of understanding why people share content and how it spreads off onto a separate organization, when you should technically be learning as you go from, and getting the benefits of that learning internally. I don't think that there's an optimal length for brands, to think about when it comes to video. I think that there's a big spectrum of levels of engagement that work. What I would say, though, is that each each length of video usually comes with a certain kind of financial commitment. So it's obviously going to be cheaper to produce 6-second things than it is to produce 30-second, than it is to produce 1 minute 30, and then onward from there. And what you learn from each of those types of media engagements are different. You're learning about the ecosystems of the platforms that they're released on, and that's where you're getting your data from. That's where the spread is happening. So what I would suggest is that if a brand is seriously thinking about starting to engage in other areas besides the television spot and things like that, I would think about an ongoing, repetitive release of more frictionless, shorter content, where I say repetitive because one of the really interesting opportunities in the online space and in branded content online is to take advantage of success and iterate, rather than having big spikes and then go dormant. The spikes are interesting and they're necessary, and they're sort of very ingrained in the way that we think about advertising and marketing. But I think the real opportunity right now is learning. The metric that I'm most interested in, and I think is probably the most relevant, even for first-time brands, would be shareability. There's a lot of different ways that, through surveys and things like that, you can look at brand lifts and kind of where the the ROI is in terms of the funnel, but those take a lot. They take scale and they take a lot of time and everything like that. So if you're in the very beginning of engagement, I think that looking at how people share, so things like Facebook shares, Twitter shares, that it's a really good indication that the content is doing a good job of getting users interested in having some sort of a value for them. Because it's very hard to game shares. They're almost impossible to buy, right? So it's something that's outside of the paid ecosystem, and it's a direct measure of earned, which is, I think, that's a force multiplier. I mean, that's when your content is doing the work for you. So yeah, I think that's probably the best place to start. When we think about the challenges of branded content, I think that one of the things is that brands, I think, need to, or have an opportunity in, considering the larger content ecosystem that they exist within. So, sportswear is about sport, and it's about fitness, but it's also about the way we want to think of ourselves, and it's about summertime potentially, and it's about a lot of these different content areas that do have resonance in that brand space. So, I think one of the difficulties often in seeing RFPs come in from brands is that they've already, by the time that they're coming to a company like BuzzFeed, for example, they've already pre-selected a bunch of the kind of content vectors, energetic, and about this and about this. So they've pre-selected a whole bunch of stuff before the real brainstorming of the ideas has started. And I do think that a lot of folks that are making media right now, like we are at our studio, are on a day-to-day basis engaged in trying to understand what aspects of content really work in different environments. And in our case, it's what kinds of content share, what kinds of content has a value in social contexts. So I think that it's a really interesting time to look at a lot of the different kinds of possibilities, rather than kind of just being restricted to one drumbeat of the content values of your brand.